How you doing there? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud to Daf Chav Tes, Daf 29 of Masechta BavaKama. Friends, friends. Well, here's the deal. I got these new headphones. I got new earbud thingies, and my parents got them for me. It's machlokes between my father and my mother about if it's a birthday present or a Hanukkah present, so I'll have to figure out how to finagle another one. But Al Koponim, these headphones, they're noise canceling, and I think they're a lot better than my other headphones, my other earplugs, which were like custom made earplugs that I got ages and ages ago. But honestly, they don't do an amazing job. I'm experimenting now with these headphones, with these noise canceling things. Hopefully it'll be good. I won't have to complain. You won't have to hear me complaining anymore, and we can just focus on the good things in life. All right. Now where were we? Hopefully it'll be good. Okay, Chevre, today is I would say not an easy daf. Chevre, how's BavaKama going? It's very slow, BavaKama. It's very slow. Slow, not slow as in dry and boring, although I guess it's arguably dry. I've given you my spiel before. I like it. You got to work through it. You got to move slow. Feel like, you got to use your brain. It teaches you how to think. I'm really digging it, but it's slow. I mean, spending probably about 6 hours a day on Babylon Talmud these days, which is a lot. Let's go weiter. So that all that is to say, today is I think going to be a slow one. Also, Shabbos starts pretty soon. I don't know what time Shabbos is, but I probably won't have enough time. Dag nabbit, I hope I have enough time. Let's go weiter. Alright. Chav Chesem and Beis. So today we're studying Daf Chav Tes. We're going to start on Daf Chav Chesem and Beis. Hopefully the noise cancelling headphones will cancel out all the noise, and it's going to be great. Rabbi Yehuda Omer b'miskav Chai v'chulis. We're at the two dots about, between 5 and 10 lines from the bottom of Chav Ches Amud Beis. So yesterday, at the bottom of Chav Ches Amud Aleph, we learned the Mishnah, and in the Mishnah it said, maybe let's read the Mishnah. It's not a long Mishnah. Nishba kado b'shesarabim, if a fellow's jug breaks in b'shesarabim, v'huchlak echad b'moyim, and a fellow slips on, there was water in the jug, a fellow slips, o shalaka b'charse, or he got hurt on the shards, chayiv. So the BavaKama says chayiv pashit. Rabbi Yehuda Omer b'miskavin chayiv be'enu miskavin potter. Says Rabbi Yehuda, look, if there was kavana, then he's chayiv. But if there wasn't, then he's potter. So the BavaKama says chayiv. Rabbi Yehuda says it depends. If there was kavana, he's chayiv. If there's no kavana, then he's potter. So now. So going on the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, right, about 5-10 lines from the bottom of Chav Ches Amud Beis. I'm getting excited. I really hope that these noise canceling things are good. I won't have to worry about any distractions, and I can just focus on babbling. Rabbi Yehuda Omer b'miskavin chai v'chulei. So Rabbi Yehuda says that if he has kavaneh, so then he's chayv, right? So again, whereas the BavaKama says, the jug breaks, the person gets hurt, chayv, full stop. Rabbi Yehuda says it depends. If there was kavana, then he's chayv. No kavana, he's potter. So now, hechidami miskavin. What exactly is the matzav? What does it mean when Rabbi Yehuda says that he has kavana? So Amar Rabba says, Rabba miskavin lo rida limata mikseifo. So Rabba explains it means that if he intended to, I don't know. I think like maybe if he had a jug, he was carrying a jug on his shoulder or something, and then he was like tripped, and then the jug. Sorry, Mom, I got to scratch my nose. Sorry about that. What do you want me to tell you? So I guess he was carrying a jug and he tripped, and we say, why'd you trip? So it says Rabbi miskavin lo rida lamata mikseifo, right? So he wanted to like take it down from his shoulders, and he tripped, and he fell, so and the thing broke. So then that would be considered kavana, and he would be chayiv. Abaye says to Rabba, Michlal, Dimchayiv Reb Meir, Afilu Nivshira. So Rabbi says, look, if Rabbi Yehuda is saying that in what situation are you chayiv? You're chayiv when you were taking it off your shoulder and you tripped, and because you tripped, you're considered to be negligent and you fell and you're chayiv. But so what would be this? So that would be chayiv according to Rabbi Yehuda. In what case would it be potter? You would be potter in a situation where it was onus. There was nothing you could do right there. The jug just fell apart in your hands. You were carrying the jug and out of nowhere the thing just fell apart. So in that case, Rabbi Yehuda would say that you're potter. However, Abaye asks, that implies Rabbi Yehuda is the one making this distinction. If there was kavanah, you're chayiv. No kavanah, you're potter. The BavaKama seems to be just saying simply. Although we're saying, I guess we're assuming that it's Reb Meir, I guess at this point, right? Because Mishnah Reb Meir, that Reb Meir is saying that even if it just, that Reb Meir would say that even in a situation where it just broke on its own, it just dissolved, it fell apart, Reb Meir would still say chayiv, right? Reb Yehuda would say potter. In that case, Reb Meir would say chayiv. So again, Amalei Abaye says to Rabba, Michad Mechayiv Reb Meir. That implies that Reb Meir would say chayiv. Afilu nifshira, even if the jug just kind of fell apart. So Rabbi Yehuda is saying potter, but we're saying that Reb Meir, the BavaKama, who says chayiv full stop, would say that he's chayiv even in that case. Amalei in Mechayiv Reb Meir afilu ozna biyado. To which Rabbi responds to Abaye and he says, yo. He says yes. He says that's correct. Reb Meir would say, even if he turns around and the next thing you know, he's just holding a handle and the jug's cracked on the floor in a bunch of pieces, he didn't, it just kind of fell apart. Reb Meir would say that he's chayiv. Amai? But says Abaye, I don't understand. Why would it be chayiv? Onusu. That's it. It's onus. People are screaming and yelling. So much for these earphones. I mean, they do a much better job. But I had also asked the people, keep it down, people. But it's a much better job. It's not as impossible as it would have been otherwise. But I still do hear the people. Akoponim, I hope it's not going to drive me nuts. Because if it drives me nuts, sorry friends, it's going to drive you nuts. Akoponim samai onusu. So it says Abaye, I don't understand though. How could Reb Meir possibly say that if the thing just kind of fell apart, how could Reb Meir say it would be chayiv? In that case, it's onus. There's nothing you could have done, and we have a concept onus rachmana patre. That when something just happens, there's nothing you could have done about it. You are potter. The Pasuk says v'lanayr le'saisa dover, that it says by naira marasa. If you have a betrothed naira and she has an affair, so there's a chiyuv skila. So now, but if it was against her will, so then she's not chayav eskila v'nar l'saisa davar. In that case, don't do anything to her. And we learn out from there that if it's onus, if it's against her will, there's nothing she could have done about it. So she's potter. So onus rachmana patra. So v'chite ma'ani milinin ktalo. And if you're going to say, look, this concept of onus rachmana patra is by death penalty, such as skila by nar marasa. So we say, look, if she didn't do anything wrong, so then she's ptura by death sentence. Aval linin nizakin chayiv. Maybe I'll say, but when it comes to damages, to nezek, maybe in that case we would not say onus rachmana patra. We would say that you're chayiv. So yeah, in that case, Reb Meir would say that even in a situation where he was holding a jug, the next thing you know, he's holding a handle, the jug is smashed on the floor, it fell apart. Reb Meir would say that you're chayiv because by nezek you'd be chayiv by onus. So, but that's not true. We have a brayso that says nishbira kado v'lo solko. If a fellow his jug broke and he didn't remove it, he just kind of left it over there. Nofel gemaloi v'lo amido. His camel fell. His camel died, and then he didn't pick it. It says hamido. He didn't pick it up, or maybe he didn't die. He fell down and he left it there. Okay, so in these cases, right, the jug fell and he just kind of left it there, or the camel fell, so the jug broke, or the camel fell and he just kind of left it there. Reb Meir mechayiv. So Reb Meir says that he's going to be chayiv be'ezekon for the damage, if they incur any damage to anybody else. V'chacham omim potter the Rabbanan say, look, well, maybe in heaven, you'd be in trouble for leaving it there, but on earth, where we're kind of talking about what are the halachas over here by Nizakin, you would be potter. So be'etzim, Reb Meir says chayiv, and the Rabban and the Chacham say potter. Now, umodim Chacham Reb Meir. However, the Chacham agreed to Reb Meir that you would be chayiv in the following case: be'abnu sakinu maso, that a fellow's stone or his knife or his burden, shenichon birosh gago, that he left it at the top of his roof, v'naflu beruach mitzuya, and they fell down with just an average wind. Ve'ezik, when they caused damage, shehu chayiv, that he be chayiv. That the Rabbanan agree with Reb Meir that in the scenario where a person, like a fool, leaves a stone or a knife or a burden on a roof in such a way that just an average wind would be able to blow it off the roof and fall on somebody and cause damage, so the Chacham would say that in that case you'd be chayiv. Umod Reb Meir l'Rabbanon, and listen up, Reb Meir admits to the rabbis that one would be potter in the following case: b'mayla kankanin ala gag amnas l'nagvon, that if a person brings jugs up to his roof so that they could dry out, v'naflu beruach she'ena mitzuya, and they got blown off the roof in an unexpected wind, an ones wind, in something that he could not have that he did not, there was no need to have anticipated, that he couldn't have anticipated. Ve'ezik, when they cause damage, shehu potter, that it would be potter. So we see that Reb Meir says that lemaise, when it comes to onus, such as this wind, an unusually powerful wind blew these jugs off the roof and they caused damage, Reb Meir would agree with the Chacham that he would be potter. So we see that Reb Meir also holds that when it comes to ones, you would be potter. So we cannot explain the Mishnah that when Rabbi Yehuda makes a distinction between kavana and no kavana, it's be'etzim talking about, was it negligence or was it ones? And Reb Meir is saying that you're potter in the case of ones, implying that Reb Meir, the BavaKama, would say that you'd be chayiv even by ones. Reb Meir says you're potter by ones. So how do we explain? Hello, Amar Abaye, rather says Abaye, betarte plige, rather Reb Meir and Rabbi Yehuda are arguing about two things. Plige b'shas nefila, plige la'ach nefila. They argue at the time of the falling, when the guy trips, as well as the aftermath of the fall, when the thing is broken lying there. Plige b'shas nefila, they argue at the time of the fall, biniskol poshea, with regarding to the fact that if somebody who's tripped, is he considered to be irresponsible and therefore chayiv? That's kind of funny. Is he irresponsible and therefore he's responsible to pay for the damages, right? So my sover niskal posheahu, my sover niskal lav posheahu. That Reb Meir, who says that so the machlokas between Reb Meir and Reb Yehuda would be in a situation where a person was carrying a jug and he trips. So Reb Meir would say that he's poshea, that he's negligent and he's chayiv, and Reb Yehuda would say in that case he is potter. La'ach nefila, and they also argue plige la'ach nefila, and the Oichid argue after the thing has fallen and he leaves it there, b'mafkir nezakov, regarding if after the thing falls and breaks, he just walks away and he leaves it there. My sover mafkir nezakov chayav, or my sover potter. Rav Meir says that a fellow who just walks away from the stuff would be chayav, whereas Rabbi Yehuda says that he would be potter. Right? If somebody then got damaged by these things after he walked away from them, Rav Meir says chayav, Rabbi Yehuda says potter. I'm curious how the recording is affected by these noise canceling headphones. They're really not bad at all. I wonder, am I screaming and yelling? I don't know. I'm very curious to see how it's going to sound, Lamaisa. Okay. Umimai. And how do we know that it's talking about these two things at the time of the fall and after the fall? From the fact that the Mishnah mentions two ukimtas, two cases. Huchlak echod b'moyim, o sheloko becharse. That the Mishnah mentioned two scenarios. Somebody slipped on the water, or somebody got hurt on the shards. Hainu hach, but at the end of the day, they are the same thing, right? The guy, right, the jug broke on the floor, and somebody got injured by the result, either by the water or by the shards. So elalav, so rather, achika amar, what it's teaching is that there are two scenarios. Each one represents a different scenario. Huchlak echod b'moyim b'shas nefila. That if somebody gets hurt, slips on the water at the time of the fall, I guess as it's, I don't know, so maybe somehow as he's tripping, somebody then slips on the water. Or after he had fallen, or after the jug had fallen, so then somebody got hurt on the shards. So then they argue about that too. Okay, so they argue in these two scenarios at the time of the fall and in the aftermath of the fall. Okay, fine, 1 second. So let's take a break for a second. Okay, so we're saying that our Mishnah is talking about these two scenarios during the fall and after the fall. And now the Gemara wants to say, and now that we've said that our Mishnah is talking about these two scenarios, well, let's say that our Brisa also, right? This Brisa that mentioned that if the jug falls on the floor and he doesn't pick it up, he leaves it there, or his camel fell and he left the camel there as well. So let's say that this Brisa also represents these two scenarios, and the machlokas between Reb Meir and the Chacham in the Brisa is also by these two scenarios. So again, umidmasnisin betarte, Brisa nami betarte. From the fact that the Mishnah is talking about these two scenarios, let's say that the Brisa is oichet, talking about these two scenarios. Bishlama kado. So I understand how we could say that the jug could be I feel like I've been having to breathe a little more. Maybe because I'm screaming and yelling. But that's alright. Screaming and yelling is good. Screaming and yelling represents passion. Passion is one of the values of Babylon Talmud. Passion is one of the values of Babylon Talmud. Babylon Talmud has values. Passion is one of them. Alright. Yeah, passion. Janine, how does that sound to you? I feel like that's is this up your alley? What should Babylon Talmud value? What should Babylon Talmud's values be? I feel like passion. Passion's good. We can add more as we need to. Okay, let's go weiter. Okay, sorry, I gotta rub my eye. Better than rubbing my nose, I guess. Okay, passionate. So, obishas nefila la'ach nefila. Where am I? I don't know where I am. Where am I? Okay, so bishlam akado mishkachas lo. So I understand how we could say that in this brisa, the scenario of the jug could be either at the time of the fall or after the fall. Okay, so you can have the jug at the time of the fall or after it falls and it's broken in shards. But what about the camel? So okay, I understand in the aftermath of the fall, the camel fell and then it's just kind of lying there and the guy walked away. So that the owner of the camel just walked away and made the carcass hefker. But what exactly is at the time of the fall when it comes to the camel? Right, with the jug, the guy trips. What about the camel? I mean, the camel's tripping, not him. So how is he responsible for his camel tripping? So Amr Rav Acha says Rav Acha Kigon de Avra b'Maya Derech Saraita Denaira. That says Rav Acha, for example, if the camel is passing through water there was like the river overflowed, and the guy's taking the camel through the water, and then it trips, and it's his fault. What's the case? So if there was another way for him to go, so meaning if he could have gone a different way, and instead he walked through the water, and the camel tripped, so then he's negligent. So of course he's chayiv. And if there was no other way for him to go, this was the only option. Well, then he was kind of shtickle stuck. Anusu. So he's anus, and of course he's potter. So the mishkachas or the askil, the askila bay gamla. Rather, we find the scenario if the owner of the camel tripped, and then the camel tripped over him. So in that case, it's his fault. Okay, all right, fun stuff. Mafkin Zakov, my miskavinika. So now, right? So we had said that that we talked about b'shas nefila. That we talked about is niskal poshea. Right? If somebody trips, is he considered to be negligent? And we said that la'achar nefila b'mafkir nechasav. Right? If he's nizakov, right? If he makes his damages hefker. So my miskavinika. So then, what would be the situation of miskavin, intending to cause damage, right? Because Rabbi Yehuda made a distinction between if he has intent or not. So we're saying that he's potter, which means that it's eno miskavin. So what's miskavin? Rav Yosef miskavin lezakos becharse. Miskavin would be if he wasn't mafkir the shards, if he intended to keep them, and then they belong to him. So Rabbi Yehuda would say it would be chayiv in that case. V'chein Rav Ashi similarly says Rav Ashi b'miskavin lezakus b'charse, that if he has intention to hold on to the shards, so then he would be chayiv according to Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Lazar Amar says Rabbi Lazar. So b'shas nefila machlokes. So Rabbi Lazar says that in this brayse, the machlokes between Reb Meir and the Chachamim is b'shas nefila, is at the time of the fall. Aval le'achar nefila mai divrei kol potter. But I understand, would we say that after the fall, then everyone would say potter? Va'ikar Reb Meir d'mechayiv. Reb Meir had said that after the jug or the camel falls, he would be chayiv. So elamai divrei kol chayiv. So what are we going to say? No, okay, maybe both Reb Meir and the Chacham say that you'd be chayiv, but va'ikar Rabban and the Patra. But the Chacham said that after the fall you'd be potter. So elamai b'shas nefila af b'shas nefila. No, when it says b'shas nefila, no, it's even at the time of nefila. Meaning la'achar nefila, of course, we see it's the machlokas between Reb Meir and the Chacham, but even at the time of the nefila, it's also the machlokas v'kamash malan kedabai. And he's saying that's just like in the same way that Abai explained the Mishnah, that the machlokas is in those two areas. So oichit in the brayse oichit. Rabbi Yochanan says Rabbi Yochanan le'achar nefila machlokes, that the machlokes is after the fall. Aval b'shas nefila mai divrei kol potter. But what are we going to say that at the time of the nefila, everyone agrees potter? But from the fact that Rabbi Yochanan says later lo tema mas nisin Reb Meir hi damer niskol posheyahu. Don't say that the Mishnah is Reb Meir who says that somebody who trips is a posheya. Michlal Reb Meir mechayiv. So it sounds like Reb Meir is saying that somebody who trips is considered posheya, negligent, and he's therefore chayiv. So don't say that b'shas nefila everyone says potter. Reb Meir seems to be saying chayiv. Alamai divrei kol chayiv. So what are we going to say? Everyone says that b'shas nefila chayiv. But from the fact that Rabbi Yochanan said the same thing, lo tema masnisin Reb Meir hi da'amar niskal poshehu. Don't say that the Mishnah is Reb Meir who says that niskal is posheya, that falling is negligence. Mechlal de patra rabbanan. Meaning, if Reb Meir says that niskal is posheya, implying that the rabbi said that niskal is potter. So what's going on? So meaning Rabbi Yochanan had said that la'achar nefila is machlokas. Machlokas is la'achar nefila. But we're having a hard time figuring out what that implies. It doesn't seem to imply that before the nefila it'd be potter, or that that b'shas nefila it'd be potter, or that b'shas nefila it'd be chayiv. Either one of those doesn't seem to make sense. Rather, where am I? Ella Hakamashma, what it's saying is the mafkir nizakov de hacha hu de patre rabbanon de anusu ava mafkir nizakov de alma mechayve. Did you get that? What Rabbi Yochanan is saying is that la'achar nefila machlokas, that in this case, when the camel fell or the jug fell, right? These were scenarios that were the initial part was ones, right? The thing fell. He didn't want it to be this way. It fell. So in that case, if he walks away, the Chacham say that he's, if he's mafkir at that point, the Chacham say that he's potter because it started in ones. But if he just simply takes a knife and throws it into Rishus Harabim and says, "I'm walking away," the Chacham would say, in that case, he would be chayiv. Okay, fine. So again, Elo Akamashman, it's teaching the mafkir nizakov de hacha hu de patre. That specifically, somebody who's mafkir nizakov, such as the camel that fell or whatever, in this scenario, he's pater because it started out ba'ones, the thing fell down on its own. Hu de patre abanon de anusu aval mafkir nizakov de alma michayve. But in general, if a person is just mafkin zakov, right? He just throws a knife into Rishus Harabim and walks away, he'll be chayv according to Chacham. Itmar, it was stated, mafkin zakov. So somebody who is just stam mafkin zakov, he takes a knife, throws it into Rishus Harabim and walks away. Rabbi Yechanan, Rabbi Lazar, it's machlekes Rabbi Yechanan, Rabbi Lazar, chad omar chayv, chad omar potter. So one opinion is chayiv, and the other opinion is potter, right? That if a fellow just, is mafkir, a dangerous thing in Rishus Harabim, so it's machlokes whether he's chayiv or potter. Leima man de mechayiv k'Reb Meir, uman de potter k'Rabbanon. So let's say that the opinion who says chayiv is like Reb Meir, who says chayiv in the brisa, and the opinion who says potter is like the rabbis who say potter in the brisa. So look, aliba de Reb Meir kuliama lo plige. Look, everyone agrees that Reb Meir would say that in this case you'd be chayiv, right? Meaning, if in the scenario where his camel fell and then he walked away, so it started out in ones, Reb Meir says chayiv. So certainly, if you just chuck your knife into Rishus Harabim and walk away, you'd be chayiv. Ki plige, where this machlokas is aliba de rabbanon, is in terms of understanding the opinion of the rabbis. What would the rabbis say in this case? So man de potter kirabonon. So the one who says potter would be like the rabbis, right? Meaning just like the rabbis had said in the previous case, potter. So also in this case they would say potter. Uman de mechayev, and the mandam who says chayev, Amalach would say to you, Ono de amri afil rabbanon. That I say even like the Rabbanon, because Arkan lo patre Rabbanon elabim mafkir nizakov de hacha mishum de ones who, right? That the rabbis would, meaning the rabbis said in the initial case, like when the camel falls down and then he walks away, where it started out as ones, that's why he's pater. But when it comes to this scenario where he's just mafkir his, he just throws a knife into Rishus Harabim and is mafkir and walks away, he would argue that the Chacham would say to be chayiv in that case. Aval mafkin zakov da alma mechayiv. But just in general, if you're mafkir something dangerous, you'd be chayiv. Tistaim der Elazar hu da Amar chayiv. Okay, so we saw that it's machlokas between Rabbi Yechanan and Rabbi Elazar about right. We said one mandamar says that you'd be chayiv by mafkin zakov. The other one says potter. We want to say that it's Rabbi Elazar who says that you'd be chayiv. Dam Rabbi Elazar mishum Rabbi Shmuel, because Rabbi Elazar says the name of Rabbi Shmuel. Shnei dvarim einon b'shuso shel adam v'asana kasav kilu ein b'shuso baram. That there are two things that are not technically considered in a person's rishus, in his domain, but we treat them as if they are in his domain. Ve'eluein, and here they are, bor b'shus harabim. For example, a bor in rishus harabim, v'chometz misheshaus ulamayla, and chometz from 6 hours and on Erev Pesach. Then in both of those cases, it's not considered like it's in your property, it's not considered like you own it, but at the same time, if you find it, right, by chometz, you'll still be over by your by Yimatzeh, and we're saying bor b'shus harabim, even if you mafkir it, still you're going to be chayiv. So we see the Rabbi Elazar's opinion is that you will be chayav. That Rabbi Elazar is the one who says that mafkir nizakov is chayav. But does Rabbi Elazar really say this, that mafkir nizakov is chayav? Rabbi Elazar ipcho. Rabbi Elazar says fakert. He says punkt fakert. Ditnan, as we learn in a Mishnah, ha'oifich es agolo b'shus harabim v'uzak boyin acher chayav b'nisko. This is a Mishnah we're going to learn tomorrow. A fellow flips over dung in Rishus Harabim. A fellow flips over dung in Rishus Harabim. V'huzak boyin, and we're assuming for now it means that he picks up the dung and he puts it somewhere else. Chevra, I was thinking that a good name for a financial services company could be called Compost and Dung. What do you think? Compost and Dung. I feel like it could work. However, so somebody who picks up dung in Rishus Harabim and he moves it somewhere else, and somebody gets hurt. Acher chayiv benizko. So the person who moved the dung is going to be chayiv his damages. V'amar Rabbi Elazar, and says Rabbi Elazar, lo shanu ela sheniskavin lezakis boyin. It's only if he intended to make a kinyan on the dung when he picked it up. Avalon niskavin lezakis boyin. But if he didn't have intention to make a kinyan on it when he picked it up, potter, so we see that he's potter. So we want to say that, here is, he picked up this dung, he moved it somewhere else, in Rishus Harabim. The person who got hurt would not have gotten hurt if it was left in the original location. He got hurt because of where this person put it. But he never made a kinyan on it, so it's not his. And we're saying that he's potter. So I'm a mafkin nizakov potter. So we want to say that that's basically the same situation. As a person who's mafkir is nizakov, person just makes his stuff hefker, we should say that he would be potter. So why are we saying that Rabbi Elazar would say that mafkir nizakov is chayav if it seems based on, if we can intuit from the dung situation that he should be potter? So says Avad Barava, well, the reason why he's potter, meaning normally Rabbi Elazar would say chayiv, the reason why he's potter in this case is because he returned the dung to its initial place, initial location. So there was some dung, Rishus Harabim, he picked it up, and he put it back. And that's where the guy got hurt. So Betzim, he never changed anything. He didn't make a kinyan on it. He put it right back where it was, where the person got hurt in the same spot where it was initially. Therefore that's why he's potter. Ravina says, Ravina Mashal Ravada Barhav Lamada Verdome, and what is a metaphor, an analogy for Ravada Barhava's situation of picking up the dung and putting it back down in the same spot? The Motze Bor Megula, it's like a fellow finds that there is he finds a tunnel shaft in the Rishus Harabim, and V'chiso, and he covers it up, V'chazu V'gileu, and then he reveals it once again. So in that case, what did he change? Right. Somebody else built this bore. Somebody else built the pit, and our person in the story finds it. It's already a pit. It's already dangerous. He covers it up, then uncovers it again. Now it's dangerous once again. But whatever he did, he's not the one who built the pit. He's not the one who's responsible. So b'seder. So Amar Marzutra be Rav Mari the Ravina, but says Rav Marzutra be Rav Mari Ravina midami. These scenarios are not exactly the same. Right? The person who picks up the dung and puts it back in its initial spot is not the same as a person who finds an uncovered pit, who then covers it and then uncovers it once again. Because Hasam, in the case of the pit, lo istalik lehu maiserishin. Hacha istalik lehu maiserishin. The big difference is that by the pit that you find that's uncovered, and then you cover it and then once again uncover it, so it remains the same it was initially. When you covered it, you didn't destroy the pit, right? I mean, you found a pit. It was deep. It was capable of causing damage. You then just put a lid on it. You didn't fix the problem. It still remained dangerous. The effort, the action of the original digger of the pit is still as dangerous as it ever was. And when the person, let's say, once you open it up again and somebody gets hurt, they're not getting hurt based on what you did in the pit that you dug. It's the pit that the original person dug. So in that case, the person who covered the pit never did anything to change the reality on the ground. So therefore, when he reveals it again, he didn't really do anything wrong, or at least he's not the source of the ultimate damage. It's the person who dug the pit. Where am I? Where am I? The Maaseh Rishon. Hacha istalaklu Maaseh Rishon. But in this case, when the fellow picked up the dung, the danger has been removed. The fellow picked up the dung. Nobody's going to get hurt on the dung anymore. He picked it up. When he puts it back, he now sort of made it once again a threat, made it once again a danger. When he picked it up, the danger was gone. He then reinstated a danger that in the meantime, that temporarily was completely removed. So in that case, I would argue that actually by the dung, he should be chayiv. Right? Did I explain that well enough? I hope so. Rather, what it's more similar to is the motze bor megula. If a fellow finds an uncovered pit, vitamima, and then he filled it in and he removed the danger, v'chazer v'chafra, and then he went and redug the pit. Sure, it's in the same location where there was a pit before, but this time he's the one who dug it, because in the meantime he had filled it in and then redug it. The istalkulu Maaseh Rishon. In the meantime, right, in that middle stage, he had removed the initial danger, v'kaimel b'shuso, and he's the one now reinstating this danger, and he should be chayiv for it. So therefore, why is Elazar saying he's potter? El Amar Rav Ashi kishe hafcha lefachis mishlosha. So rather says Rav Ashi, the reason why Rabbi Elazar says he's potter is because he just kind of flipped over the dung and he never picked it up 3 tvachim off the ground, so it was never an actual kinyan hadbah, and therefore he was never really koneh, and the danger was never really removed, and that's why he's potter. Umay duchke der Elazar lim ukma kigon shehafcha lepachos migimol v'tayim dechin niskavin nezakis ba ha'in niskavin nezakis ba lo. Why is Rabbi Elazar going, bending backwards over here? Meaning, the Mishnah that we're going to see tomorrow, that we're quoting here, says, look, if a fellow picks up dung, puts it back down, somebody gets hurt, he's chayiv. Rabbi Elazar says, well, but there's a very, very specific case where if you pick up the dung and put it back down and it's less than 3 tvachim, so then you would actually be potter. Why is Rabbi Elazar bending backward? I mean, why not just say, right, Lukma l'mayla migimel v'afagad lo niskav nezakis bo chayiv. Why not just say it's talking about above 3 tvachim, and regardless of if he had kavana to be koned, he's going to be chayiv. Meaning, Rabbi Elazar, if we're saying that Rabbi Elazar's opinion is that mafkin zakov b'rishus harabim is chayiv, so just like, why is Rabbi Elazar just agree with that and say chayiv? Why are you bending over backwards, come up with some kind of ukimta where you'd be potter? So Amarava says Rava Masnisin Kshise, because the Mishnah, there was something funny to him in the Mishnah, which is something wasn't quite right. Ma'ir Yahafach Lisnei Higbia. Why did the Mishnah have to say flip it over? Say he picked it up and he's chayiv. Why flip it over? Mina Kol Hafach Limata Mishlosha Hu. Rather, the point is that what he's saying is, the Mishnah is saying the word hafach because it's talking about where it's less than 3 tvachim davka. And because it's less than 3 tvachim, he's saying that because it's less than 3, that in the event that it's less than 3 tvachim, so then in that case he would taka be potter. Okay, fine. Okay, so now if we're saying that Rabbi Elazar says that mafkin nezakav mishus harabim is chayiv, so if we're saying that Rabbi Elazar is the one who says chayiv, what does that of course imply? That Rabbi Yochanan is the one who says potter. But does Rabbi Yochanan really say that it would be potter? We learn in the Mishnah. Hamatzniya sakotz. Again, this is the Mishnah we're going to learn tomorrow. Hamatzniya sakotz. A fellow hides a thorn, besazchuchis, or glass. V'agoda gidro bekotzim. Somebody makes a fence of barbed wire fence with thorns. V'geder shnafel shusarabim, or a fence that falls into shusarabim. V'huzat boin, and somebody gets hurt. Acher, somebody else gets hurt. Chayiv benizko. The person responsible is going to be chayiv. From Rabbi Yochanan, says Rabbi Yochanan, l'shanu el b'mafriach. That's only if the thorns are growing wild in Rishus Harabim, right? That's where he can be chayiv b'abim mitzamtzim. But if he sort of kept the thorn fence kind of neat and on his property, potter. So then it would be potter. Mitzamtzim my time of potter. Why, when he kind of like, is careful to keep the thorns on his property, right? Not kind of like, going wild in Rishus Harabim. Why is he potter in that case? Lav mishum dahavile bor b'shuso. Is it not because he'd be potter in a situation where the boar is in his rishus, right? I mean, you have these thorns, and as long as it's in his rishus, that's where he's potter. Michad d'chiyuva the boar b'shus harabim hu. Which means that Reb Meir holds that where are you chayiv for bor? Reb Meir, I'm sorry. Where Reb Yochanan holds that where are you chayiv for bor? B'shus harabim. Amab mafkin izakov chayiv. Which means that mafkin izakov, according to Reb Yochanan, is chayiv. Right? I mean, he's saying that you only potter when it's on your property, but in Rishus Harabim, you'd be chayiv. Mafkin izakov b'Rishus Harabim is chayiv. Lo la'olam emalach, mafkin izakov potter. No, really, I'll say that Rabbi Yochanan's opinion is that mafkin izakov is potter. The mafkir nizakov in Rishus Harabim is potter. Okay. So if that's the case, then it implies that that the bor Bershuso would be chayav, right? I honestly, I don't understand this 100% yet because we haven't really got to the sugya, but my understanding is that the machlokas that we're referencing here is that are you chayiv for a bor in Rishus Harabim, or are you chayiv, or there's a bor that you're chayiv for when you have your property and you build a bor in your property and then you are mafkir your property, but you retain ownership of the bor. Is that where you're chayiv? But anyway, so if we're saying that where you're chayiv according to Rabbi Yochanan is for a bor b'shus harabim, well, if that is the case, then where am I? So l'olam emelach mafkir nizakov potter. Okay. So really, I'll say to you that mafkir nizakov, i.e. bor b'shus harabim, when you right, if you're mafkir your stuff in Rishus Harabim, you're potter, which would mean therefore that Rabbi Yochanan holds that where's the case where you're chayiv for bor when you have a bor on your property, which means that if it's your fence, even on your property, and you're mafkir the rest of your property, but you have this fence, which is essentially this bor that you retain rights of, then you should be chayiv. My time of potter. So why are we saying that you're potter? Because we taught Amar Rav Acha B'Rav Ika Lefisha in Darkan Shovani Adam Nischakech B'Ksalim. Because specifically, people don't normally rub against walls, and that's why in this case you'd be potter, even though you'd be chayiv for a bor that was built on your property. But in this case, because people don't rub against walls, that's why you are chayiv. But that's why you're potter. Okay, but we want to say that Rabbi Yochanan says that mafkin nizakov Rishus Harabim is potter. Does Rabbi Yochanan really say this? That mafkin nizakov Rishus Harabim is potter, and that the definition of bor is when it's on your property, then you're mafkir your property. Rabbi Yochanan says halacha kistam mishnah. The halacha is like a stam mishnah. Whenever you have a plain mishnah unattributed, then that's the halacha. V'tnan hachofer bor b'Rishus Harabim, that a fellow digs a pit in Rishus Harabim, v'nafel l'sochol shor chamur, and an ox or a donkey falls in the mace and it dies chayav. So we see a stam mishnah that's talking about a bor b'Rishus Harabim. So Ella the olam Rabbi Yochanan Omer chayav. No, so really Rabbi Yochanan says that mafkin nizakov, that bor b'Rishus Harabim, mafkin nizakov is chayiv. And if Rabbi Yochanan is the one who's saying chayiv, then Memele Rabbi Elazar is the one who says potter. But didn't Rabbi Elazar say in the name of Rabbi Yishmael that what did he say in the name of Rabbi Yishmael? He says but Rabbi Elazar, according to Rabbi Yishmael, is saying bor b'shus harabim is chayiv. So lokasha tidei ad Rabbi. Well, he himself holds that mafkin nizakov would be potter, but his Rebbe, Rabbi Shmuel was Rabbi Elazar's Rebbe. Interesting. Says chayiv. All right. Friends, that was Daf Chav Tes, Masechet BavaKama. We talked about a lot of stuff on this daf. I don't even remember what we talked about on this daf, but we talked about stuff on this daf, and now it's Shabbos and I gotta go, but we finished on relatively decent time. Peace out.